we've got a fantastic guest on the show now. He's created unions where it seemed impossible that such a thing could happen, where only division existed, where tyranny, centralized power, a monolith named after the lungs of the earth, but seemingly determined to asphyxiate us all. Amazon, mightier than most of the planet's countries, have yielded to the power that can only be wielded when people come together. Christian Smalls is the president of the first Amazon Labour Union. Before we meet him, let's have a look at him in a moment of triumph. Check this.
Yeah!
A champagne bottle was popped as Amazon workers in New York cheered on their historic vote. For the first time in almost 3 decades, employees at one facility voted to unionize.
This is the catalyst for the revolution. Just like Starbucks. Y'all see what's going on with the Starbucks unionizing across the country.
Christian, thanks very much for joining us on Stay Free with Russell Brand. Can you tell me, mate, how did you find yourself in this situation where you moved from working at that organisation to creating this union? Seems you've made an incredible impact.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
My journey started 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, actually, 2020, when I was fired for protesting outside of that same facility that we unionized, JFK. I led a protest over COVID-19. I was fired the same day. About a week and a half later, Jeff Bezos himself, along with his general counsel, had a smear campaign calling me not smart or articulate that leaked to the public. And from that moment forward, I continued to organize and agitate across the country for about a year, protesting in front of every Jeff Bezos mansion that we can find, from New York all the way to Beverly Hills. And then when we came back, we decided that we wanted to form an independent union, and we started campaigning. I spent over 300 days outside of the facility signing people up for this independent union. And then last year, April 1st, 2022, we became the first union in American history.
You know, like the union movement is regarded, I feel, as somewhat outgraded as industrialization has altered coal, steel, manufacturing jobs have largely disappeared and seem to be on the way out where even they currently still abide. Do you think creating a union in this space, which is ultimately within the realm of big tech, is a way that ordinary people can come together to oppose centralized power? And Christian, when you talked about in that news clip there about revolution, do you feel that new forms of union and community can create genuine opposition to unprecedented power that these kind of big tech companies have?
100%. Absolutely. We're at a point in time where workers realize the value. The pandemic put the world on pause. And during that time, we realized that, the power, our oppressors against us, our government has failed us, and nobody's going to save us but ourselves. I realized that from a company that I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into for a number of years. And I spoke up one time and they terminated me. So I had no protection. I had nobody, no cavalry, nobody to come help me out. I had to find myself in my community. And with the community, we formed this union. And that's what it's going to take to really get the protections and the benefits and the life that we all rightfully deserve. It takes that the community come together, people coming together, realizing that we all have to build off a commonality, that we're not going to be given these things. The things that we want in life, whether it's higher wages, better medical leave options, job security, free housing, free Medicare, we're never going to be given these things. We have to fight for it. And the only way we're going to do that is by forming unions, forming community organizations, mutual aid, and things of that nature that's going to bring people together.
The obligation then to support unions, even if you're not a member of one, becomes yet more significant when you describe how important and how successful your action has been. One of the things as well that's changing, Christian, is that the categories of left and right don't seem to make sense in the same kind of way they once did. I feel like you went on Tucker and talked about your union and got like a sympathetic ear there, where once Fox News wouldn't have been a place where left-wing issues were looked upon favourably. Also, this is my own opinion, it seems like the Democrat Party isn't willing to go to the mat for workers when it matters, even though I know you met Joe Biden and stuff. I feel like that Amazon and the government have significant contracts, and the relationship between big tech and the government is so entrenched and enmeshed that ultimately, whether it's the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, but, you know, I guess it's more surprising that the Democrat Party don't care. It seems like that ordinary workers are not going to get the support that they require. How do you find yourself navigating that space where once customarily you'd known that the left would have had your back, that the Democrats would have had your back, or Labour in this country that I'm in? Now you can't rely on that. And how do you feel about having to deal with like organisations like Fox News and stuff like that? Is that a big deal to you? Or?
Well, I mean, no, for us, you know, we just have to continue to do the work, you know, and we organize. My union specifically, we're independent for that reason. We're not tied to any political party. We're not affiliated with any established union that's tied to political parties, whether it's left or right. We're independent. In our Constitution, we do not endorse politicians. We don't care how good they are, how progressive they are. We love and support, you know, whatever supports the workers. And that's how we organize. We don't feed into the politics, and we don't rely on Democrats to save us as well. We use their support whenever that is. We don't know how and whenever they give it to us, but it comes in doses, and we understand that the time that we're in, we're going to have to hold these politicians accountable. And that's what we've been doing. I've been on record calling politicians out. I'm going to continue to do that as the president. I'm going to make sure that whoever I need to get support from is on notice on the public platform, and that goes all the way up to the White House. You know, I've been on record saying that Joe Biden, that claims to be the most progressive union president in history, has to do more. And he needs to bring these CEOs to the table and tell them that they need to sit at the table with the workers, especially the ones that are unionizing.
Mate, have you heard much about the ways that new progressive ways that organizations like Amazon and these big tech companies could be structured, granting more power to workers, even a share of the business? When you talk about revolution, it seems like, and when any of us talk about revolution, really what we mean is, are we able to meaningfully alter, you know, even overthrow these systems? When they have such a grasp on power, sometimes it feels that all we can do is create a little bit of change, a little break here or there, which I know is significant to the people that you represent, if people get Medicare or people get a pay cut. But when we're talking about revolution, I suppose what we're talking about is meaningful, radical change and the ability for ordinary people to have some control in their lives. And I wonder if you ever think about how this union movement could grow, become affiliated, if not with one of the existing political parties, with as yet unborn political movements. I wonder if that's stuff you think about.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm at the point where, you know, we need a third party. We need a party that represents workers, the working class party. We need a party that represents the people that's actually being suffered every day, suffering, living every day in this country, that's not being represented, that's not being heard. You know, I'm out here in the streets daily, connecting with people, different communities, traveling the country, and I see what's going on the ground, and it's really heartbreaking to see that America, which claims to be the richest country in the world, and we have such a crisis in this country. So for me and our movement, it is a revolution, because we're at a point in time where workers are taking the power and putting it back into their own hands. And I know it's going to be a long process. You know, that's why I always remind ourselves that this is a marathon, not a sprint. You know, just imagine Amazon workers getting a contract. Amazon workers, the $1 trillion company, the most powerful company in modern day history right now, are one of them. And we're getting a contract that is going to protect ourselves as workers at the bottom of the totem pole. That's going to change the whole industry. That's going to empower, encourage people, no matter what industry they work in, from Target to Whole Foods to Home Depot, to Trader Joe's, to Apple, to Google. It's going to empower people to want to fight and form these unions, which we already started to see last year with the Starbucks campaigns and other campaigns launching as independent unions, not just forming or affiliating with established unions. A lot of unions are now becoming independent, and there's going to be more to come in the future. And I believe with our victory and our success of getting a contract, that's going to change the whole industry forever.
You're describing there is pretty exciting because big tech presents itself as kind of convenient and friction-free. You don't see the invisible people behind an organization like Amazon. You just get the package and the parcel. And with Facebook and Apple and all these companies, there's a kind of cleanliness in the way that they present themselves, and you don't see the invisible toil and suffering that sometimes when I hear about it doesn't sound like it belongs to this century. People not getting breaks, the peeing in the bottles. Then internationally, we know that like the kind of products that we're all reliant on, I'm holding up my iPhone there, are dependent upon slave labor in like the Congo, like with the cobalt mining deal and all that kind of stuff. It seems to me that what you're describing is a need for an awakening, that we've all gotten so used to being consumers, we've gotten so used to convenience that we've come to tolerate the idea where that suffering is other people suffering is a price worth paying, that it's somehow become marginalized and concealed. No one cares about it. Like in the age in my country with the steel workers and the coal workers, it became a source of pride, the labor unions. And it feels like what you're interested in is creating those communities again. And in order to do that, the truth has to be revealed about the human cost of these apparently friction-free, convenient big tech devices and organizations that all of us have become kind of addicted to.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. Just think about it. What was we doing 10 years ago? Just 10 years ago, we were getting up, going to the mall and shopping on Saturdays. We weren't really ordering on Amazon Prime. Just 10 years ago, you were able to go to your local Main Street in your local community and possibly still go to a Barnes & Noble or a bookstore. You can't go there no more. Main Street and every community right now in America looks different. The malls, the shopping centers, they're empty. We're giving all our money to one company. So every time you hit one click buy, you're affecting 9 to 10 different people. And people don't see that. And that's exactly what we have to put on Front Street. And that's exactly what organizing and amplifying voices that are unheard is doing. It's exposing the ugliness of these corporations and the malpractices that's happening in these warehouses. And hopefully one day that we'll get to a point or a platform where there will be an awakening where people will be like, you know what, let me stop shopping there. Let me shop at my local store. Let me stop supporting this company until they do better and stand by their workers.
This power that's being aggregated by organizations like Amazon make it increasingly difficult to have power at the level of the individual or at the level of the community. In order to have that kind of community, you need real democracy. In order to say, we want a community where we have our own stores, our own banking, that's real democracy. Like you said, just 10 years ago, this landscape was recognizably different. And it's happening sort of so slowly slowly, and the pandemic, of course, just exacerbated it, trained us once again to be okay with being locked up and locked down. And I suppose that I feel like that the lockdown was significant in the advance and creation of your movement. Is that right, Christian? Is it because like your conditions were exacerbated there?
Absolutely. You know, I was just a worker, going to work, a father. You know, I have twins, one boy, one girl, single parent, just living my life. I wasn't thinking about any of this 3 years ago. If you'd have told me today I'd be sitting here as the first union president of Amazon, I'd have looked at you like you had 10 heads. So it took me losing everything. It took Amazon firing me publicly. It took all of that to really put me in position to continue and fight against them. And I didn't want to unionize at first. And you know, those who have been following my journey from the beginning know we were just advocating on a community level with my organization, TCOEW, the Congress of Essential Workers. We were traveling, just protesting, rallying, trying to build this movement up. And then it took a whole year and a half later, after the pandemic already started, for me to realize that the only way we're going to really protect ourselves is by forming a union for Amazon workers. And that's when we begin that campaign. And, you know, the rest is history. You know, to be standing here now and continue to fight, it's been nothing short but amazing. But I know that we have a long battle ahead of us. But I can see from being here on the ground, connected with different communities, I can see the change and I can see the difference. And I can see these conversations starting to take place in different spaces.
On a personal level, it must have felt like at the time that you were under most duress, an opportunity emerged. But what was it like for you to lose your job as a single parent and a father of 2 kids? I imagine you were under incredible financial and psychological pressure. What was that like, mate?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I lost everything. You know, once again, I worked at Amazon for 5 years. I was a supervisor for 4.5 years. I opened up 3 buildings in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. I was a really good employee. I wasn't just a regular that, you know, just come in there and do the job. I did my job and I did it well. I was well respected. Everybody loved me. My team loved me. My department. I was really popular in the building. And to lose all of that in one day was definitely devastating, especially during the pandemic, especially being in New York City when New York City was the epicenter of the world. People were dying every 15 minutes over here. And to lose all of that because I was speaking out to protect everybody was definitely devastating, but also empowering at the same time because, you know, once again, in that same day, I had to make a decision. When they fired me, I had to make a decision right then and there, whether I'm going to just say, you know what, the hell with them and take legal action, or I'm going to continue advocating and amplifying what happened to me so that it doesn't happen to other people. And that's when I decided to continue advocating.
How significant is it that people find ways to connect that are not determined and defined by cultural conflict? It seems that when people have a shared plight and a shared agenda, when all the people in your organization, for example, are suffering as a result of advanced capitalism, commodification, lack of rights for workers, things that are affecting probably billions of people around the world. And like we've discussed, Christian, stories that are simply not told. How important is it that we start to develop a vision that enables us to see beyond the amount of divisiveness and conflict that the culture pumps out, but giving us reasons and ways to turn against one another on the basis of culture, religion, racial or sexual identity? How important is it to find ways to unify in meaningful, purpose-driven ways such as this?
Well, it's simple. When it comes to environmental justice, social injustice, labor, when it comes to these different movements, Black Lives Matter, we have to, as labor leaders, as the working class, we have to take a stance, and we have to stand in solidarity with these issues. And like I told Lindsey Graham, it's not a left or a right thing. It's a working thing. It's a people's thing, meaning that my building, JFK in Staten Island, for example, Staten Island is, everybody knows it's conservative. It's Trump Island. Everywhere is Trump. It's all conservative over there. We had to build off a commonality of the work-related issues. You know, not everybody in that warehouse is a Democrat. Not everybody comes home and watch Democracy Now! Or watch anything close to CNN or whatever. Amazon workers do not do that. We had to educate them. And we also had to bring people together from all different backgrounds, political views, sexualities, whatever, identities. We had to bring community together, no matter where they came from, to build off the commonality of the work-related issues. Everybody wants higher wages. Everybody wants to be treated with respect. Everybody deserves to be have a decent amount of family time. Everybody deserves to not have to work 10 to 12 hours and commute 2 or 3 hours each way. So everybody felt the need to unionize because these things are important to anybody. If you ask me, any working class person would definitely deserve or definitely want to have a better life, a quality of life. And that's what we're fighting for overall, a better quality of life.
These ideas and this analysis, I think, will scale even beyond the incredible achievement that you have already undertaken. I feel that this is an important global message for people to recognize that we have more in common with one another than that which divides us, and that this division is a crucial ingredient in preventing the kind of success that you've experienced. In our country, there's a walkout tomorrow at Amazon in Coventry. That's a city in the middle of the country. Have you spoke to them, and what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I stand in solidarity with them. I know about it. I'm actually going to be, I'm plugging myself right now, but I'll be on BBC tomorrow speaking about it. We definitely support one another. I'll be visiting the UK very soon, so I'm hoping that I will be connected with some of the organizers. I finally got my passport, so like you said, this is a global movement. I'm looking forward to traveling abroad, starting with London next month. And I'm definitely going to connect with every movement that I could possibly when you're talking about Amazon. And tomorrow we're going to talk more about it when they start their strike.
When you come our country, mate, I'd love you to come here and be in studio with us, because I feel like if you've got global corporations that are astride the globe, that essentially transcend borders, then there needs to be a response in kind. There needs to be a worker-oriented or people-oriented movement to oppose and confront that kind of global power. You know, a lot of, I think, a resurgent nationalism is a response to globalism, that people feel they don't have no control in their countries. And if there are ways that people can unite behind a common interest, like you said, quality of life, standard of life, right to dignity and respect, I feel that this could be, a global movement. So yeah, will you come on?
Absolutely, 100%. I'll definitely love to come visit. And I stand with that. You know, I stand on what I say. And I wouldn't have been doing this and sacrificing the time that I have if I didn't believe in it. And I believe that we're at a point of no return. We're at a point where there's no way we can go back to what we've been getting, because we wasn't getting anything. So now we just have to continue organizing, continue pushing forward, and understand that this is a revolution. This is the beginning. and we have to continue to fight. And when we fight back, as we always say, we win.
Christian, that's pretty exciting. There's a lot of things I want to talk to you about. There's this festival, this community festival we do in the UK in July. I'd love you to come and speak at that as well if you're available. Christian, thanks for your time. I think you're doing really, really powerful and important work. Congratulations on what you've achieved and what you've overcome. And I'm really excited about what you'll achieve going forward and what we can achieve together, because ultimately this is a movement that we're all going to have to participate if it's going to have the kind of success which you have said is necessary now.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it, my brother. Be safe out there. Be well. I'll be seeing you guys soon.
Oh, God bless you. Thanks, mate. Thanks very much. You can follow Christian at Shut Down Amazon. There's an underscore, Shut_Down Amazon. That's what it is. Look at the size of Amazon, gal. And look at it smiling down at us with its arrow. I like Christian Smalls.
I thought it was great.
Do you think that he, like me...
Sorry? Do you think he liked you?
Yeah, do you think he made a real connection?
I think he did. I mean, he called you his brother at the end.
I think I've done some good work.
I knew you'd enjoy that. As soon as he said that, I thought,
when you're a white
Ross is happy there.
In your heart of hearts, you want black people to call you brother.
Right.
In your heart of hearts.
I knew you'd be happy.
I'm always happy with that.
Yeah.
Switch on, switch off.